So oil production continuing apace, but you just alluded to the potential for it getting disrupted if there is a broader conflict, which leads me to my second question that I think anyone who woke up and saw the headlines this morning is wondering. What is the chance that this snowballs into a broader war, a bigger conflict, something much, much worse than what we're seeing right now?
Well, that risk has loomed large for the last several months. And I would say that what we've seen over the last 2 weeks has revealed interests on both sides, among the Iranians and the Israelis and the Americans, to avoid escalation if possible. There continues to be pressures pushing everybody away from a regional war. Now, does that mean a regional war won't break out? Not necessarily. Miscalculations can happen. Accidents can happen that force the states involved to escalate, even though they don't necessarily want to, in order to restore deterrence, in order to signal strength, capability, and maintain credibility. So the risks of escalation are still there. They could stem from another Israeli attack on an Iranian asset, right? This all started with the Israeli attack on the consulate in Damascus. The Israelis are unlikely to stop attacking Iranian assets in Syria. So we could, in a couple of weeks, if the Israelis pull off another attack against an Iranian target there, we could be right back where we started, seeing escalating tensions, the risks of direct attacks by Iran against Israel and Israel back at Iran. I would also say the northern border between Israel and Hezbollah remains a significant area of potential escalation. As I mentioned, Israel sees Hezbollah as a considerable security risk, one that we will want to address at some point in the future. And then finally, the Houthis. The Houthis firing at ships in the Red Sea has been disruptive. So far, they haven't caused significant damage or significant casualties, but that could change. They could open up the aperture of their campaign and start targeting warships or potentially energy infrastructure in the region. That's another way that you get a broader conflict. The group in Yemen doesn't seem interested in doing that right now, but there is a possibility, again, either through miscalculation or intended escalation, that grows into a broader regional conflict. So the risk is there. The major actors involved seem interested and seem focused on avoiding that risk, but it will remain potent for at least as long as the conflict in Gaza continues.
So we've talked about this conflict, the potentials for escalation, de-escalation, the effect on oil, the Biden response. Is there anything else on your mind right now, or anything else that you would tell Forbes viewers that they should be thinking about or looking out for here?
I think we've covered it pretty well. I think I would continue to say, over the last few weeks, the conversation has moved a little bit away from Gaza, but Gaza continues to be sort of the beginning and end of where these tensions are coming from. A ceasefire between Israel and Hamas will hopefully at some point reduce tensions there and move the situation in Gaza towards a degree of stability, but that's not looking very likely anytime soon. So long as the conflict in Gaza continues, these risks, these tensions will exist, and the risk of some kind of escalation will persist.
Gregory, Brew, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me on.